Peace Internet, it's me Vonnie, aka Davon Raymond. Thank you so much for checking out Lazy Vlogs. Okay, so in today's Lazy Vlog, a couple of things are different, right? The title, my mom wants me to travel to Japan or go to Japan. That's kind of a funky title, you know. It's not clickbait, it's real, we're gonna get into it. But also, for those of you who have been watching my Lazy Vlogs, you seldom see me on the Davon Raymond X YouTube channel in my bedroom, and yet here we are, chilling in my room. I've squeezed myself on the very corner of my bed so you can have some type of just background. You can see my setup, my Switch. I play, maybe a couple times a week. It's fun. I've got a photo of me surfing. That was at Narragansett Beach, which was very cool and very fun. And then, that's my whole streaming setup and all that. So if you guys are ever watching my streams, or when we're doing the language learning Japanese stream on YouTube, or if you're ever watching my streaming on Twitch where we play games or just chat, this is literally the setup. Anyway, so why does my mom want me to travel or go to, or even potentially move to Japan? Why? Is my mother Japanese? No. Do we have any Japanese blood in our lineage? Really don't think so. But here is why. So I am 29 now. I've had different adventures. One of those adventures being over my shoulder when I first traveled to Rhode Island from New York multiple times, and then ultimately moved there to then move back to my mother's house. But I did have that experience, and I bring it up because she was happy to know that I had enough self-confidence to pursue something I was interested in, and then even pursue it further beyond the curiosity, but to the point of actually forming a plan and then moving to a different state and then living on my own for about a year. So basically, she wants me to do the same thing with Japan. Now, why is she saying that? Why is she's not literally saying, Davon, or Day, as she might call me, you need to go to Japan. That's not what she's saying. What she's saying is, when we have conversations, I always say, I don't know, Mom, it'd be really cool to, travel to Japan and see if I like it, or I could do one of these language schools in Japan, and that could be my way in to live there for a period of time. And, I've gone through, just a lot of conversations with her because she's globally minded. She's traveled outside of the U.S. multiple times, Costa Rica, Bermuda, Jamaica, or not Jamaica, the Caribbean, where some other places, I can't even think, Mexico. She's gone to multiple, countries, and I just have not. And it's not like she thinks it's a requirement for life, but she knows that I have a curiosity with leaving the U.S., and she knows that I have the determination to make it happen. But lately, I've been a little bit, kind of spinning in circles. If you guys have been watching my channel, I've talked about just, feeling like a lack of purpose, some frustrations in life, lack of money. I need some water here, guys. Just, non-sponsored, just some random bottle that my family had in the house, and I filled it up with water and ice, and, well, cheers. Yes. Anyway, so my mother, being someone who's traveled, a handful of times, and even every now and again she'll entertain the idea of, traveling to newer places, different countries. I've talked to her about my personal interest in Japan, and I've even expressed other countries in Asia, South Korea. I mean, she loves watching, K-dramas. She loves watching K-dramas. She loves it. She literally loves it. Though going to South Korea isn't on the top of my list. It's probably number 4 of the countries I'd like to visit. Canada isn't really, I guess I would say Japan. Maybe it's higher up on the list. Anyway, I definitely want to go to Japan, though. That's the point. And in another video, we'll talk about the different places I'd like to go, because I really want to focus on the fact that my mother is encouraging me to do this. So I've been in her ear talking about it for a long time, and she's said multiple times, but we've had a conversation recently where it kind of hit a little different. And she's basically said, look, you're 29, you don't have any kids, and you are working a new job now, and you're not really paying me a huge amount of money to stay here or anything. So, and I don't have any commitments. I have no responsibilities. I don't even have a vehicle, guys. So I have nothing I'm paying, on all the time or anything like that. And she's basically saying, you should, while I'm giving you this room to live in and Wi-Fi and everything that you would be paying and spending all your money and working a job that you hate and being frustrated by it, while you're just shielded from that right now, and for as long as you need, you can work this job, save up the money that's required for you to travel to Japan, and then go. And then when you come back, report back to me what you thought. If you need to go to Japan 2 or 3 times during this time of working and saving and living here, go do that. I don't care. I want you to have the best shot at pursuing these things, because this is big for me. It's big for anybody, but it's big for me, Devon, as the individual, to be able to build confidence in this way, expand my knowledge, expand my experience. I wouldn't want to go to Japan just to say that I went and tell people. I'd want to go so I can suss out the situation, see if the videos that I've seen online really are, true to the real life experience that I would have personally. And watching videos isn't enough for me. Of all the places and all the things that I would love, if we're just cards on the table, I would love to live, somewhere in Japan where I could have access to, Okinawa. I don't know if I would want to live in Okinawa necessarily, but I know that I would want to go there because that's where it's the Hawaii of Japan. I want to be able to do surfing lessons in Japan. If I could do surfing lessons and Japanese language learning lessons, that would be sick. That'd be amazing. That, if again, cards on the table, that would be amazing. And ultimately, if I did move to Japan, it's not that I think it would be so crazy, so much better than America. I can't find happiness, here. I can only find it there. It's not that. There's this curiosity and this interest that I have, and while watching these videos of these certain YouTubers, big and small, over the past several years, I watch this, and I'm just I want that to be me too. Now, we all want to be a famous YouTuber with money and blah, 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 but that's not the point. Is that I want to put myself through the ringer, through the Japanese ringer, get there, experience what it's like to be an American in Japan, wherever part of the country I decide to go. And I just want to know that I tried and that I did it, and I need to do that to get my feet wet. It's the same thing when it came to pursuing surfing. I saw this whole lifestyle, I saw these YouTubers talk about it, it seemed like, all this complicated stuff, and everyone has their opinions on how to surf and what boards to use and what time of the year you should be surfing, depending on where you live and what type of, are you going to a beach break or whatever it is, where are you going to go surf and all this stuff. There's so many things that make it feel like, oh, I can't really swim all that good, all of these overwhelming details that surround the idea of surfing, right? Or that surround the idea of traveling / living in Japan. Now, obviously, those two things, traveling to Japan and visiting for a period of time and living there, as an expat, that is different. That is definitely different levels of complexity and so on. And legally, it's different. But the concept is the same, is quieting the noise, doing your research, quieting the noise of the overwhelming reality of the situation, and just aiming down sights. Maybe I should get a visual aid here. Aiming down sights and really just keeping this has a plastic tip, guys, no worry. But we're Americans, we all have something like this. But keeping your goal, in focus is my point. And in doing that, you will realize, okay, I don't live by the ocean, so I have to save money so I can then travel. I have to figure out how to get to the ocean. And then when I get there, I have to have booked a lesson, and I should have the money for this, and I got to pay for parking and whatever it is. Do the things that will allow you to get to step one. And then you do step one. And then you see how you feel. You go through that challenge of facing something difficult and new and maybe scary. And then you break through, and now you're at step two. And by the time you make it to step two, it's already a huge achievement to have made it to step one. But meaning in the surfing analogy, to be like, I booked the lesson, I'm here, I'm like putting on sunscreen, and the instructor is telling me one quick second while they're taking the board out of their van, like that's step one. You did it, you made it to the ocean. Step two, you're in it and you're trying. And I caught my first wave with the help of an instructor, which was amazing. The first wave I ever attempted to surf, I caught it. So it's incredible. That really was incredible. It was so cool. First time I ever tried surfing, I caught a wave. That's insane to me. So you don't know what results you're going to have when you're way back in the research, stage of all of this, pursuing a new thing. So to bring it back to this Japanese side of the analogy, I always say surfing because it's something that I did recently and something that I know at least enough about if you're a newbie trying to pursue it, But as far as Japan, it's definitely a few degrees more difficult than surfing. But the fact that my mom says, don't worry, save your money. You've proved you can save thousands of dollars, you can do it again. So go do it again. Save up your money, travel to Tokyo. She doesn't know all the places, but Tokyo or Kyoto or Okinawa or Kanagawa. There's another, Kamakura is what I was thinking of. Because I have a shirt that's like a skull. I think I picked it up from a Five Below store, which is like a nerdy store or something like that. They sell all types of. You can just look it up, Five Below. But just because their name is Five Below doesn't mean their items are less than $5. They have some expensive or more expensive items in there. So if you're gonna go there, show up with at least a 20, But yeah, I have a shirt for Kamakura, and you see the skeletons surfing on a wave in Japan, and I'm like, bro, I want to try that. I want to try that, So that is how I feel right now. And just to wrap this up, I recently started this new job, and I realized when I'm working, I have focus and I feel good. When I'm not working, I feel despair, even though at times when I'm not working, I'll feel like, oh my god, if I just had money, then I could do this and I could do that, I could travel to Japan or whatever it is. And then when I get into a job, I start to get too I had a meeting, not a meeting, but like a pop-up meeting with high-level corporate person who showed up to, my job. I'm a new supervisor there, and they were just bringing me through the steps of, this is what it's like working for this company. You seem to show a lot of promise. You got good attitude. You're in sponge mode. You're listening. You seem attentive, whatever. So just so you know, if you make it a few levels higher than your position, from where you're at, a couple more levels up to running your own store, not franchise, but running your own location, and then above that, there are opportunities for you where you could You could get a free vehicle, a company vehicle where they pay for everything. Gas, they give you a gas card, and I mean a free vehicle that I can use for personal use and business. And my family could use if I had a wife or whatever. Like, that would be incredible. And the way he's spelling this out to me, I'm thinking like I could really have a future, with this company. And that really hits when I was feeling, having no job for a couple of months, or, making very, very little money for the past, 2 months doing DoorDash and whatever. It was kind of like a huge shift from like a little bit of hopelessness while still having curiosity to having a job and somebody from higher up saying, hey, this could be you if you put in the time. And that made me feel like good, but it's like, it doesn't, I don't know. It makes me feel good, but it also scares me into thinking that I could and would commit to something like that, because you really, from what I understand, and I am ignorant to it, you really are signing up to, like I said, a commitment to something that is going to really require, if you're going to go down this path, you may as well follow it all the way through. And in so doing, this will give you a lot of experience, and a more secure retirement and things like that, which I care about as an American, as somebody who will be approaching their 30s in the new year. So there are a lot of things like that do, it does matter to me. But at the same time, when I have chats with my mother, she reminds me like, yeah, you're about to be 30 in January and all that. That's great, but you're still a kid, relatively speaking, and you're still at a stage in your life where you have no true responsibilities to where you don't have to commit to this company. You can if you want. You absolutely can. But I know you, and I know that you really want to pursue these things that you've lacked a bit of confidence in lately, but I'm trying to give you the permission to feel confident that you can pursue these things that are out of the ordinary, like traveling or potentially moving out of the country. So I just want to share that with you, because I know that my emotional state can have an effect, maybe swing, my focus depending on what's going on in life. And even the boss, the higher up person at my company told me like, hey, you're still young, like don't sweat anything, like just, focus on, doing a good job. And if you want to pursue more, the opportunity is there. And I appreciate that a lot. But same like my mother, you're still young. If you want to pursue things outside of the norm, your chance to do it is in your lap. So my mother wants me to go to Japan. If I can really swing it down the lane in a really calculated and smart way, I'd love to move to Japan and live there for the next 30 years or something. That would be incredible. Travel home, to my mother to visit and whatever. But generally speaking, that would be the life change that I am seeking. I don't know what my life would be like in Japan. I don't. And that's not to say that I would know what my life would be like here in the States, but I very much want to know what my life will be like when I've done this travel to Japan, potentially even move. So that's where I'm at, and that's why, if you guys have seen on this YouTube channel, I've done a live stream recently where we're doing language learning, where I'm going through hiragana and katakana, which is really cool. And I just want to keep doing that to keep my interest in Japanese. And I'm working now, so I'm hoping that I can sign up for some language learning application, or even like a video call class or something like that. There are so many different things I could pursue with, Gogo Nihon and other programs and companies like that help facilitate your transition into Japanese life as a foreigner. So I don't know. There's so many ways I can go about it. Language learning schools, save up X amount of money, travel to Japan, prepay for those classes, learn Japanese in person, while being free to do whatever it is outside of, that classroom. So, I don't know. There's a lot of things to consider, and I'm just excited to give myself, and now that my mother's given me truly, she's always given me this opportunity, but I was always, lack of confidence or feeling like, like I'm coming from a place of scarcity and like, no, I have to buy a car and move out of my mom's because otherwise, like instead of feeling rushed to go like, oh, I see this surfing lifestyle, I just have to pursue it and the only way to do that is to live here in the States. That's not true, of course, at all. So I'm trying to not think of a limited mindset, but to think in an unlimited mindset. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys subscribe to Davon Raymond X. You'll see more lazy vlogs. And yeah, I'm just excited for the next one. Until then, thank you guys so much for watching. And if you have any interest or any experience in specifically leaving your country to go to Japan, or leaving your country to go to whatever other place, even leaving your home state for something else, just a new experience. Maybe you left your career of 10 years and decided to switch to this other thing that you've always wanted but never thought that you could do. I'd love to hear your experience down in the comments, and of course you guys can always message me directly, Davon Raymond X on Instagram, and I'll leave the links to my socials, but I'm always around, willing to chat and hear other people's experiences, because it's just nice to hear from other people and how things went for them. So, until then, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.